Diving into Proverbs is it's kind of like opening a treasure chest, one filled with ancient wisdom.
Mm.
And you've given us, chapters 19 through 21 here. And, well, I'm ready to see what gems we can unearth. But I think the real treasure, though, isn't just reading the words, it's figuring out how they apply to your life today.
Yeah, I love that analogy. And you're right, these proverbs, they aren't just, some dusty old sayings. They're packed with these insights into human nature, really that are just as relevant now as they were, thousands of years ago.
So, okay, let's unpack this a little bit. One thing that jumps out at me right away is just how many of these proverbs deal with wealth and poverty.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're holding up a mirror to society, showing us the stark contrast that existed back then.
Absolutely. Like, take Proverbs 19.4, for example. Wealth has many friends, but a poor person is separated from his friend.
Oh,
It's a sad truth, but it just, this proverb makes me think about how we build relationships today. I mean, do we sometimes prioritize connections that offer us some kind of material benefit? How can we be more authentic in our friendships, regardless of someone's financial status?
that's such a good point. It's so easy to get, caught up in appearances and status.
Right.
But this proverb reminds us that true friendship should run deeper than that.
Totally. And it's not just about, having more friends if you're wealthy. Proverbs 19.7 takes it a step further.
Oh, okay.
All the brothers of a poor person hate him. How much more do his friends abandon him? It paints a rather bleak picture, of how poverty could strain even the closest relationships. Back then, there wasn't much of a safety net, so relying on your community was essential.
Wow, that's pretty intense. It makes you wonder if those, ancient communities were as focused on, individual success as we are today. Maybe they understood the importance of supporting each other through tough times, a little better.
Yeah, maybe. And yet, amidst all these harsh realities, there's also like a glimmer of hope, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Proverbs 22.2 says, "What is desirable in a person is his kindness, and it's better to be a poor person than a liar." So even though, poverty was really challenging, these proverbs remind us that integrity and character are ultimately more valuable than material wealth.
It's like they're saying, sure, money can make life easier, but it's your actions and how you treat others that truly define you.
Exactly.
Mm,
These proverbs are urging us to prioritize what truly matters, kindness, honesty, righteousness.
okay.
Speaking of honesty, let's talk about this next theme that pops up quite a bit. Integrity.
Okay.
There are all these warnings
Mhm.
against dishonesty, especially when it comes to things like false witness, lying.
Yeah, yeah. Like in Proverbs 19.5, a false witness will not go unpunished. It's a pretty straightforward message, but I wonder how it applied to their legal system back then. Did they have trials in courtrooms like we do?
Well, they did have systems of justice, although they were much different than ours. But the principle remains the same. Lying, deception, ultimately leads to negative consequences.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just about telling the truth in court, though, right?
Right.
Proverbs 20.10 kind of broadens the scope a little bit.
Mhm.
Differing weights and differing measures, both of them are abominable to the Lord.
Yeah.
So it's about honesty in all your dealings, not just legal matters.
Right. This isn't just about ancient marketplaces.
Yeah.
Think about, misleading advertising or hidden fees
Mm.
or even exaggerating your skills on a resume. This proverb reminds us that integrity matters in all areas of life, not just when it's convenient.
It's like a reminder to check ourselves, make sure we're being truthful even in the small things.
Yeah.
Okay, shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
These proverbs are full of colorful and memorable imagery when it comes to wisdom and foolishness. It's like they knew people would remember a vivid picture better than a dry lecture.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They use those really vivid metaphors to drive their point home.
Yeah.
For instance, Proverbs 19.2 cautions us. Um, Also, it is not good for a person to be without knowledge, and one who hurries his footsteps errs. It's like saying, look before you leap, but with a much more poetic flair.
Yeah, much more poetic.
Yeah.
And then there's Proverbs 19.24 with that hilarious image. The lazy one buries his hand in the dish, but will not even bring it back to his mouth. I mean, I've definitely had days where I felt that lazy, but it's funny to picture someone being that inactive.
Right. It uses humor and like exaggeration to really highlight the consequences of laziness and inaction.
Yeah.
But these proverbs about wisdom and foolishness, they aren't just about being smart or dumb. It's about making wise choices, considering the consequences of our actions, and ultimately living a life that leads to fulfillment rather than regret.
Okay, this next one is a bit more serious. Proverbs 20.1 warns us, wine is a mocker, intoxicating drink a brawler, and whoever is intoxicated by it is not wise. I mean, haven't we all seen someone make questionable choices after a few too many?
Uh-huh.
But on a deeper level, I think it's warning us about the dangers of letting our impulses, control us.
It definitely connects drinking to foolish behavior, but you're right, it speaks to a broader message about self-control and making wise choices.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about knowing our limits and avoiding situations that might lead us down the wrong path.
It's like that saying, your future self will thank you.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of choices, there's a lot here about family dynamics.
Hmm.
Some of these proverbs are intense, like Proverbs 19.13. A foolish son is destruction to his father, and the quarrels of a wife are a constant dripping. It makes me wonder if ancient families were just as messy as ours today.
It certainly sounds familiar, doesn't it? And this proverb, it isn't just about literal sons and fathers. It speaks to the consequences of our actions. Our choices impact those closest to us. Have you ever felt the weight of someone else's poor choices, or maybe even felt like you were that foolish son in a situation?
Oof, yes. I think we've all been there at some point. It's a reminder that our actions have ripple effects, especially within our families.
Yeah, it's a powerful thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
And these proverbs, they don't shy away from the tough stuff either.
Yeah.
But Proverbs 19.08 gets right to the heart of parenting. Discipline your son while there is hope, and do not desire his death.
Whoa. Okay, that one is heavy. But I think it speaks to the responsibility we have as parents or, mentors to guide those who are younger than us. It's not about being punitive. It's about helping them grow into responsible adults.
Exactly. I mean, discipline in this context implies like teaching, instruction, correction. It's about setting boundaries and offering guidance, all, of course, within a loving context.
Speaking of boundaries, this next proverb about marriage caught my eye. It is better to live on a corner of a roof than in a house shared with a contentious woman. Ouch. Proverbs 21.9 doesn't sugarcoat things, does it?
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of the more vivid proverbs about marital conflict. While we shouldn't take it literally, I think it does convey the intense frustration that can arise from constant bickering, discord within a marriage.
It makes you wonder what was going on in the lives of the people who wrote these proverbs. And they clearly had some strong opinions about family life.
Yeah, and that's what makes them so fascinating, right? They offer a glimpse into the everyday realities and challenges faced by people in ancient Israel. And even though the cultural context is different, the underlying principles still resonate with us today. We all experience the joys and frustrations of family life, and these proverbs can offer us some guidance, some wisdom as we navigate those complexities. This idea of navigating challenges actually connects back to something we talked about earlier. Remember that proverb about the power of words?
Yeah, Proverbs 19.28. A worthless witness makes a mockery of justice, and the mouth of the wicked swallows wrongdoing. It's a stark reminder that words can be used to deceive, to manipulate, especially in situations where honesty is paramount.
And Proverbs 20.19 adds another layer to that conversation. One who goes about as a slanderer reveals secrets. Therefore, do not associate with a gossip. It's a cautionary tale, against spreading rumors, engaging in, harmful gossip.
It's like they're saying, choose your words carefully because they can have a real impact, both positive and negative.
Exactly. And that brings us to Proverbs 21.23, which I think really gets to the heart of the matter.
Okay.
One who guards his mouth and his tongue guards his soul from troubles. Emphasizing this link between our words and our overall well-being.
This one really hit home for me. It makes me think about how often I speak without thinking, especially when I'm stressed or emotional.
Yeah.
It's a challenge to pause and choose my words carefully, but this proverb suggests it's worth the effort.
It is. It is. It's a practice, a discipline, just like we were talking about, with raising children.
Yeah.
Guarding our speech, it takes intentionality, especially in today's world where communication is often impulsive and unfiltered.
That's so true. I mean, think about social media. Words can spread like wildfire, and sometimes we forget that there's a real person on the other side of the screen.
It's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment and say things we later regret. These proverbs are challenging us to be more mindful of the impact our words have on others and to strive for communication that is honest, kind, and constructive.
Yeah.
They remind us that words can build up or tear down, and ultimately, it's our choice how we use them.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Wealth, poverty, integrity, wisdom, family dynamics, and the power of words. It's amazing how interconnected all these themes are.
It really is. These proverbs, they aren't just, these isolated sayings. They weave together this tapestry of wisdom that speaks to, the complexities of human experience.
It's like they're offering us a framework for living a good life, a life that is grounded in values, integrity, and compassion.
And it's a framework that's, stood the test of time. Even though these proverbs were written thousands of years ago, they still offer us these valuable insights that can guide us today.
I couldn't agree more. This has been an incredibly insightful journey, and I feel like I've gained, a whole new appreciation for the wisdom contained in these ancient texts. What stands out to you as the most valuable takeaway from our, dive into these chapters of Proverbs?
That was a great question. As we were talking, the proverb about choosing kindness over wealth really resonated with me.
Yeah.
It's a powerful reminder that our character and how we treat others are the true measures of success, not material possessions.
Proverbs 22.2, what is desirable in a person is his kindness, and it is better to be a poor person than a liar. I love that one too.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the pursuit of wealth and status,
Right.
but ultimately those things are fleeting.
They are.
Kindness and integrity, on the other hand, those are qualities that endure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, it ties into that web of interconnectedness we were talking about when we prioritize kindness.
Yeah.
It influences how we communicate, how we handle conflict, and how we build relationships.
Right.
It ripples outward, impacting not just our own lives, but the lives of those around us.
It's like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. When we choose kindness, we create a more positive and supportive environment for everyone.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it. And it brings me back to that final thought-provoking question I wanted to leave our listeners with. If you could choose just one proverb from these chapters to guide your decisions today, which one would it be and why?
Oh, that's a tough one. There are so many good ones in these chapters. But I think for me, it would be Proverbs 19.2. Also, it is not good for a person to be without knowledge, and one who hurries his footsteps errs.
Interesting choice. Tell me more about why that one stands out to you.
Well, it's a reminder to approach life with a balance of knowledge and careful consideration. It's so easy to rush into things without thinking, especially in our fast-paced world. But this proverb encourages me to pause, to gather information, and to make decisions with intention.
I see how that resonates with you. It's a reminder that wisdom comes not just from knowledge, but also from taking the time to reflect and consider the potential consequences of our actions.
Exactly. And, it ties into those proverbs about guarding our speech. Sometimes the wisest choice is to simply listen and learn before we speak.
That's a profound insight. It's been a pleasure diving into these chapters of Proverbs with you. These ancient words offer so much wisdom and guidance for navigating the complexities of life, even thousands of years later.
I couldn't agree more. This has been a truly enriching experience, and I feel inspired to apply these timeless principles to my own life.
Remember, the real treasure is not just in reading these Proverbs, but in reflecting on them and finding ways to integrate their wisdom into our daily lives.
Thank you for guiding us through this deep dive.
And
Until next time.
it was my pleasure. Until next time.